These guys are ridiculous. These guys are ridiculous.
Now, how about them damn Celtics?
And we are back with another How About Them Celtics video. Sam and I are here recording on Tuesday, December 26th. We are talking about Kelly Olynyk today. If you watched Talking Seas last night, you saw a cool picture of Duke where my picture goes because I have not been feeling well. Still not, but I've turned the brightness down on my computer, so I am back in the short term, and we'll rock with it for now. Mark Stein of the Stein Line, which is his own independent newsletter, which everybody should sign up for. It's great. Reported that the Celtics are reportedly interested in Kelly Olynyk. Kelly Olynyk plays for the Jazz, former Celtic, obviously, Celtics legend, some might say, and that the Celtics might want to bring him on board. Now, the catch here is, and we've talked about this briefly, and we've talked about it with Isaiah Stewart, not really possible, right? League sources say Boston is among the teams that is monitoring Utah's Kelly Olynyk in advance of potential trade pursuit. That is what came from Mark Stein. Also said one of a number of Jazz veterans known to be available, and the Celtics obviously know him well. Now, the problem with that is that Kelly Olynyk, who is in the final year of his contract, makes $12.1 million, 12.2. Not exactly a tradable salary from the Celtics perspective, because they would have to either trade Al Horford, trade Peyton Pritchard and a bunch of smaller contracts, or literally trade every single player on the roster after Horford, Hauser, and Pritchard on the bench. Mm-hmm. None of those outcomes seem likely. So it kind of nullifies the point. However, as the title of this video describes, and we'll discuss it right away so you guys aren't left hanging, a potential loophole to this could be if the Celtics were to trade for Chris Dunn or another player that would fit into their TPE, trade, the equivalent of what they would trade for Kelly Olynyk and Chris Dunn, and then the Jazz buy Kelly Olynyk out and he signs with the Celtics as sort of a predetermined thing. It is the biggest loophole of loopholes. However, the fact that it could potentially maybe be possible has gotten me on board, and I think it'd be a pretty fun idea. So we wanted to talk about Kelly Olynyk's potential fit in Boston, probably the realism of whether or not it would actually happen or not. And yeah, that's what we're going.
Well, it would be kind of cool to add him, right? Bring back somebody that was a part of the original group during Boston's post Big Three rebuilding era, whatever you want to call it. I mean, he was on the number 1 seed team that went to the conference finals, but it would be cool to have him back. I mean, he has a unique skill set that would fit the team. Like, he's able to shoot threes. He's been in the league long enough to have some sort of like know-how and ability to hang in there, even though he's not the greatest defender of all time. He's not going to probably get absolutely murdered, or at least he won't be worse than what you're already putting out there as your third string big guy. I don't know if he's the answer. I mean, I think Luke Cornett's fine. I think Cade is fine. I think most third string big guys are fine. Like, I think if you're going to nitpick one part of the team, the third string big guy is not the guy to be mad at. But everyone does get mad at those guys. So Kelly could be coming back to a trap if he was to do that. Now, it would have to be via loophole. But also the man in charge in Utah is Danny Ainge. For those that may have forgotten, Danny Ainge faked retiring and was like, I'm not going to be the GM of the Celtics anymore. And then he went to go be the kind of GM of the Jazz. I don't think that's his official title.
All intents and purposes.
It's pretty much what he's doing. Meanwhile, Brad Stevens has done an excellent job and was a blessing to have had promoted him to president of basketball operations here with the Celtics. But I don't know. I wrote my like hater power rankings, and I did like do this will be remembered for Ainge fake retiring. Maybe he feels like he owes them one, or maybe he's just still bleeding green.
Listen, I think Danny Ainge would like nothing more than to help the Celtics win a title. Here, I mean, Kevin McHale, a little handshake, KG trade back in the day. Maybe Kelly Olynyk is the equivalent of Kevin Garnett. Who's to say? Who's to say? How it would all have to work as I break out Sam's favorite webpage in the planet.
Trade machine.
Don't worry about it. Now, listen, it would have to be something along the lines of a player making less than $6 million or the TPE. The most obvious of which would be Chris Dunn, who, for what it's worth, it's not as for not it's not Kelly Olynyk, but Providence College local guy Would be fun. I mean,
Connecticut.
I've pitched Chris Dunn, even regardless of the Kelly Olynyk idea. He's averaging 5, 3, and 3.5 on pretty efficient splits this season, in 16 minutes. And he's a quality rotation player.
Former Celtic for 5 days.
Oh yeah,
He
really?
was
Why
he
did
was
I know
like
that?
traded
yes.
for and then waived
Yes.
or traded again, something like that.
Yes, I remember that. So it would have to be that into the TPE. The question is, how much would the Celtics have to give up for Kelly and Chris Dunn? Because that's realistically what they would be doing in this. Probably, what are we saying? Like a first and some second round picks, I assume, would probably be the line. And at that point, you have to ask yourself, what first do the Celtics have to trade? They're in a much better spot than a lot of the contending teams around the league. Obviously, they spent on Drew Holiday, they spent on Derek White, and stuff like that. But as much as it sucked to give up Marcus Smart, the fact that they gave up 0 firsts for Kristaps Porzingis was nuts. In fact, they got a
received
first. Yeah, like that is going to go down as, while it was heartbreaking at the time, probably one of the biggest fleeces in a long time, when you really step back and think about it.
Considering the team they've put together, it's kind of insane to be like, oh, wow, they have their 24 first, their 25 first, their 26 first.
Exactly.
These other contending teams are just without first-round picks. Milwaukee, not a lot of first-round picks. Let's just say, I don't know. Philly, Phoenix, the Timberwolves. They
Miami.
just gutted their entire future just to be like, hey, look at us.
Yeah, it's been crazy. And the fact that they were able to flip the first that they got in the Porzingis trade, in the Drew Holiday trade, and only give up one of their own first for Drew Holiday. Like, the way Brad Stevens worked it out has been amazing. Celtics have their 2024 first and 25 first and 26 first and 27 first. So they can't trade all of those, but that means 24 and 26 are completely tradable without any restrictions, which is crazy to think about. Past that, 29 is owed to the Blazers. 28 is a swap protected top one, or just a first round pick protected top one to the Spurs. Past that, they own 30 and 31. They only don't have control over 2 of their future first round picks, which means they can trade 2 unprotected. They can trade up to 3 as swaps. It feels like the most obvious route, should the Jazz be interested, is giving up the 2024 and then some seconds. The seconds is where things could get a little dicey because they don't actually have a ton of their second round picks. They have a Hornets 2024 second round pick, I think. No, the Hornets own their 24 second round pick. They have this more favorable, like, crap. The Celtic, wait, is that real? Yeah, actually, that's not bad. The Celtics get the best of the Bulls, or the Pelicans, something like that. So they actually have this second round pick, which isn't too bad. They have 2024 Maverick second round pick as well. So they have some, like, changed hands a bunch of times second round pick that can be traded. But that's where things could get a little bit more confusing. That said, the Jazz are going nowhere this season.
They don't want to go anywhere. They're
exactly
protected in the lottery.
I think the better question to ask is, would another team be willing to give up more than a first and a couple seconds for Kelly Olynyk? The answer is maybe, because, I mean, he's a quality player. He played well for them last season. He's been big for them in spots this season. I don't know if he started all the games. He's a very efficient player.
In front of me.
Score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 money bet. That's $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action, NFL. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including you got spreads, you got your player props, you got over-unders, and more. So visit FanDuel.com/Boston and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL.
I'm pulling it up
Played
right
in
now.
28 of Utah's games, started 7 times, 22 minutes a night, 55% from the field, 42% from 3. Just wildly efficient, career highs in both categories. And considering the Jazz are not like a diesel team by any means, they don't exactly have big ass planets that have a ton of gravity, aka stars. I guess that would have been the better space analogy. How to say stars, you big dumb idiot.
Wait, what'd you say? What'd you say instead of stars? Sam's
Like big planet stars have
yeah,
gravity
yeah,
too.
yeah. No, I
But you know
understand.
what I mean. I
Yeah,
mean, he's not really playing with anybody like Tatum, who can post up and get an automatic double team and then find him for an open three. Like realistically, Kelly Olynyk, if he went to the Celtics, would be a very good weapon for them off the bench. I'm not sure exactly where they would find minutes for all these guys because Porzingis is really good. Horford has been pretty good lately, and he's
well,
really found his footing after a rough start. And
I
then,
think
like,
the obvious answer is he'd probably take Nemi and Cornette's minutes, which in their defense,
maybe,
they've been playing a decent amount this year.
but
And
I
as
think
much
they're out
as
there just like kind of to stand and be vertical on defense. Is that what he's going to be able to do?
I think so. I think Kelly's been a pretty good stand up vertical. I think he is close to what Luke brings on defense, just obviously not 7'3". Like I think he's always been a pretty quality defender. It's obviously not like Horford or Porzingis, but I think he wouldn't be a drop off from. I think he's a better defender than Keita, and I think he's probably better than Cornet, if not on par. So I don't think you'd lose much in that realm. And the other like underratedly important part of this, career high 4.5 assists for Olynyk this year on the Jazz. Dude can pass. Like he would add
That is
that
a
aspect to
super
the
stat.
team. That would be impressive or important to note. Per 36, he's averaging per 36 this year. Kelly is averaging 13, 9, and 7.5. That's insane.
Hoss.
On
Those are
crazy.
Jokic numbers, not really.
Exactly. Listen, the final question before we get out of here is the realistic probability of this 10%, right? Like it's probably not realistic. However, the point is there is a pathway for the Celtics to quote trade for Kelly Olynyk. And
The
I
funny
think that's
thing
the important
is,
thing to note. Mm,
I feel like Miami's a team that you'd be like, maybe they aren't going to be interested in him.
yes,
But also, I really don't think Ainge is going to do business with Riley. So I think that kind of acts as
would
that.
be
And
funny.
that's not a bias thing. Like, they legitimately don't like each other. Like, I don't see Ainge being like, yeah, here you go. Here's this guy for free. So that kind of rules them out. What were the other teams that were listed in the Stein report? Because there were other teams in there that were not just the Celtics. It was like the Celtics, might have been OKC and some other teams. Not
It
positive.
just says I don't know if it notes other teams.
I gotta look.
Olynyk
I know I saw it.
is one of a number of Jazz veterans going to be available. Said he is among the teams. The 6'11" Olynyk would seemingly make sense as a trade target for the Knicks as well, given New York's acute need for size in the
Mitchell
wake of
Robinson,
Robinson's
too.
injuries. That's just like Stein saying, yeah, it would probably fit here too, though. That wasn't like reporting that they've shown it an interest.
Bleacher
Um,
Report.
hmm,
NBA insider Mark Stein reported on Monday that Celtics are among the teams. So there
yeah,
are multiple teams. He just didn't name drop any other teams.
yes.
So, okay, fair. But you'd have to assume Miami probably is one of them. You just have to. Like, it's always
I
them.
mean,
The Knicks make sense.
the Lakers are probably going to show an interest.
Oh,
Any
that'd be
team that is,
terrible.
what'd you say?
That'd be awful.
Right? Any team that is trying to win and has the pieces should show an interest. I mean, the Bucks could show an interest. The Nuggets, the Thunder, any top team realistically should show an interest in Olynyk should they have the pieces to make a trade work. So I think at that point it's just a matter of who's willing to give the most for him. And as much as Danny might want to help the Celtics a little bit, wink, wink, he's going to take the most picks he can get. Like that's just how it's going to be.
And
Anyways,
the Celtics should not just get all their picks for Olynyk because I don't know how
agree.
much sense that makes.
I'd cap it at
You
one.
can get by.
Seconds.
You can get by without doing this trade. Like, it's cool.
Mhm.
Everything we're talking about is great. The playmaking is cool. The efficiency is fantastic. But the Celtics are the best team in the league right now. They've had the
Mhm.
hardest schedule. They have the easiest schedule left. They really haven't shown a ton of weakness. When everyone's healthy, I guess that's your big, like, what if. But, like, when Porzingis plays just in general, it feels like they're just unstoppable. He adds that extra wrinkle to their team. And sure, you could do some of that with Olynyk. You could post him up. He's tall, just like Porzingis. What's he, 6'11"? I don't think he's actually 7 feet. Yeah, 6'11". You can post him up low and let him take little fadeaways. Why not? It's not going to be your late in the game go-to,
Yeah.
but you can do it. He's proven that he can make decisions with the ball in that situation and make the right read. Why not?
Mhm.
It's not the worst thing, but again, Celtics absolutely fine regardless. I had somebody ask me about trades today. I was like, well, they don't really have any money. First off, There's no way they can move. The top 6 makes all the money. You don't want to give up those guys. You don't want to give up Pritchard at this point. And Hauser's been too good. So the rest of these guys, even Brissett, I don't want to give up at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Watching the last couple games he's played, technically on the season, he's shooting 40% from deep on just over an attempt per appearance. But still, that's not nothing. It doesn't mean if you're like another team, look how good he's shooting from 3, but you can see it's there. He's gotten really good looks with the Celtics, and he's only going to continue to get good looks. He's confident enough to where he's not passing up looks in the corner anymore. Earlier in the season, he didn't want to shoot. He hesitated when teams would just leave him. So that's a step in the right direction. And if he's able to really consistently knock down the 3, I stand by it. He's going to be the where did this guy come from guy that's popping up in February. And people are like, did they trade for him? Where was he for the first half of the year? It's just called he wasn't ready yet. But he can bring it. He plays with a great energy. He could be a great spark plug off the bench for the Celtics. If he can just knock down 3s, you may not need to look any further than O'Shea Brissett.
We'll see what happens. I'm always down for an Olynyk trade. I'd like Chris Dunn in Boston as well, too, just for the fun of it. But let us know what y'all think of the Olynyk idea. Like we said, the Loophole would just be trading for Chris Dunn, having them buy out Olynyk, and he'd sign here. See what happens. Thank y'all for tuning in.
Don't trade for Kelly Olynyk.
Subscribe, and I'll let Sam wrap it up.
Hey, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our daily uploads. We're doing videos like these. We're doing full-length pods, game recaps, film breakdowns, and we're live a half hour before each game doing a pregame show. So come hang out for that. Leave a like, leave a comment. Tell us what you think. Would you trade for Kelly? Would you not? Who else would you trade for and why? You can also find our full-length audio versions of our pod and game recaps on Spotify and Apple. If you follow us there, those will go right to your inbox. You can leave us a 5-star review and say something nice about the pod. We do appreciate it. If you want to be featured on the podcast, you can send us email, hbtcpod@gmail.com. We read your emails. We appreciate your input, and we give you feedback every single pod. Say what's popping in the comments. Be entered in the Inpopnito $10 gift card giveaway. You can buy a free bag of popcorn with that. You can pick from over 60 flavors. They have sweet, spicy, seasonal, and salty. Just great selection of flavors. It's a good product. We wouldn't tell you anything else. We wouldn't recommend it to you. You can follow us on socials at Hub with MCs. That's Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook is just the name of the podcast. You can find all pregame streams there, as well as YouTube, as well as our Twitters. You can follow Jax, which is at Jax Money. You can follow mine at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us.
Tic-tac-toe.